You know, there was a time when Eddie Murphy was the greatest comedian ever made. He was funny, he was vulgar, he was insane. And then he kind of fell off the face of the earth with doing all these family movies. But boy, howdy, this guy is back in Dolemite is My Name. What's up, guys, and welcome to Movie Emporium's movie review of the Netflix original movie Dolemite is My Name, the newest film from director Craig Brewer, and is written by Scott Alexander and Larry Kruzewski. This movie, of course, stars Eddie Murphy as Rudy Ray Moore, and also brings in the cast of Keegan Michael Key, Wesley Snipes, Craig Robinson, Snoop Dogg, Chris Rock, Mike Epps, Divine Joy Randolph, Bob Odenkirk, and of course, Kodi Smit-McPhee. So, the story of Rudy Ray Moore is a very interesting story. It's about a guy, like many stories about people who have ambition, who have an idea, and they need the people around them to rise them up and create the content. But Rudy Ray Moore, who is the inspiration for a lot of people, is known as the godfather of rap. He's the inspiration to like Eddie Murphy himself, and of course, Richard Pryor. He was a guy that had an idea. He wanted to become a stand-up comedian. He wanted to, use his voice to kind of do what he did. And yes, he was vulgar. Yes, he was outlandish. But he did something that was kind of revolutionary for his time and inspired so many people. He inspired Snoop Dogg, who's actually in this movie really funny as a DJ. And just to watch how he affected his culture, how he affected the people around him, how people who would not talk to him all of a sudden start talking to him. It's a really fascinating story of a guy who was able to like become a cultural phenomenon where he came out with the films of Dolemite. And so that year when Dolemite came out, yes, it was panned, but it actually became a cultural phenomenon, became one of the highest grossing movies of that year. And it's really, really fun to see. These are the types of stories where you're rooting for this guy to succeed because he has the drive and the inspiration. He will do whatever it takes to get this project, to get this thing to work. And it really does hinge on the fact of who Rudy Ray Moore was. And Rudy Ray Moore, like I said, is an inspiration to a lot of famous people. But the main thing you guys want to know, and the main thing that has been talked about, is how good is Eddie Murphy as Rudy Ray Moore. And I'll tell you what, this is the Eddie Murphy I've missed for a long time. It's been so long, maybe Dreamgirls, maybe Nutty Professor, where we get a true fun performance out of Eddie Murphy. He's not doing kids films in this movie. He's doing his 80s style of filmmaking where he's very vulgar, he's very in your face, and he doesn't care what he says. And that's what we loved about Eddie Murphy. When you look at stuff like 48 Hours or Trading Places, Coming to America, Beverly Hills Cop, there was a aura and a presence about Eddie Murphy that made him who he was and made him as popular as he was. And it was such a shame when he went to kids films and started doing all those low budget or high budget PG-13 movies that you just miss this Eddie Murphy. And he's back and better than ever in this role as Rudy Ray Moore or Dolemite or whatever you want to consider him. And this is an Oscar-worthy performance, or at least an Oscar nomination performance. It's going to be a very stacked year for the Best Actor nominations, but this is a performance that is just built around who Eddie Murphy was. And the fact that he was inspired by this guy who did something that if you go and look at like Eddie Murphy's stand-up, it's very similar to what Rudy Ray Moore was doing with how in your face it was and how vulgar it was. And the fact that he's playing his idol, it just really shows you how much he really cares about this project and how much he wanted to get it off the ground. And he brought a lot of famous people with him. And we got Keegan Michael Key, who plays the character who ends up being the writer of the movie Dolemite. And then we got like Mike Epps, who plays one of his friends. We got Craig Robinson, who does the musical score. And we also get one of the better performances in the movie, who's played by a character played by Divine Joy Reed, who plays Lady Reed, who's kind of like his muse in a way, his vocal performance, his vocal talent. And they have such a great chemistry together that you can really feel that he's getting her to do something that she didn't believe in herself, because there's early scenes where she feels just like that. It's great performance. But then we got like Bob Odenkirk pops up, we got Chris Rock who pops up, and mostly they're like in a small amount of scenes, and they're really fun to watch. You know, Snoop Dogg, like I said, pops up as a DJ, and because he was so inspired by Rudy Ray Moore, it kind of makes sense to put him in this movie. So the main things also I can talk about in this movie is Craig Brewer, who's known for doing like Hustle and Flow. This is perfectly fit for him because he knows music in and out, and he does a really nice job of capturing the 70s, of capturing that era of black exploitation, of capturing the look and feel of who Rudy Ray Moore was, and just the costumes and the outfits and the mannerisms and so on and so forth. And it just really feels like this was a perfect fit for this, you know, the director. And like I said, if you ever watch Hustle and Flow, it's also another great performance from a character played by Terrence Howard, who does a really nice job, is also like a music producer and so on and so forth. But I gotta give a lot of credit to Scott Alexander and Larry Karaszewski. They're one of my favorite writing duos of all time. They've done stuff like, you know, The People versus Larry Flint, Ed Wood, Big Eyes, so on and so forth. And they really know how to write people that are oddball and off the beaten path type characters. You know, you look at Ed Wood, who's one of the worst directors of all time. You look like People versus Larry Flint. You got Larry Flint, who's known for doing Hustler. And somehow they know how to make them human. They know how to get like real raw performances out of these characters. And even though they're outlandish, you really feel like you could be one of those people that really can be with Rudy Ray Moore. You really feel for his plight of what he's trying to do. And that's what's so great about what Alexander and Karaszewski can do, is just write great performances. And that's why this movie just works so well, is they know how to write characters, and they do such a nice job in this movie. And it's also kind of funny, I didn't mention this yet, but Wesley Snipes pops in as D'Urvey Martin. And D'Urvey Martin was a very famous actor in the 70s and 60s and 70s. And Wesley Snipes is that cocky, you know, jerk of a guy who wants to direct the movie. And as soon as they do the movie, he's like, I'm out. I won't be at the premiere. But it's just nice to see, like, you know, him pop up for a few minutes, because Wesley Snipes is one of those actors that is very charismatic. He's not the greatest actor in the world, but you gotta love what he does. And I like Demolition Man, so it's always nice to see Wesley Snipes. So, but yeah, like I said, it's a very good movie. It's well worth watching. It has a lot of language and a lot of nudity and a lot of outlandish content, but it's a movie that just hinges on how good a performance Eddie Murphy is doing. And so, but yeah, that's Dolemite is my name. So definitely check it out. It's on Netflix. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button at the top to find out what's coming next, and of course, comment below on any video that you watch on my channel. Also, comment below, tell me what you think of this movie when you see it. But otherwise, see you guys in the next video. Peace out.
What's up, guys? Thank you so much for checking out Movie Emporium. I really appreciate it. If you want to, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification button and the bell at the top. Find out what's coming next for Movie Emporium. Also, check out these two videos. They're amazing. I think they're awesome. I think you'll enjoy them too. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.